Hello, my name is Laura.
My name is Ruby, and we are here from Telling Tales.
What is something you love about reading?
I like it when I can see myself or my family in the stories I read. I remember when we found a book called My Dodima Wears a Sari. That was great because I have a Dodima and sometimes she does wear a sari.
I don't know if you remember the first year we went to the Telling Tales Festival. I think you were only 3. But we went to a presentation by author Roxana Khan about her book Big Red Lollipop. We still have it.
That was a great story. The family is new to Canada and the mom doesn't understand that you don't usually bring your little sister to a birthday party.
I like that the characters' names were so familiar. You have an aunt named Sana, and of course Rubina is a lot like Ruby. Seeing ourselves in the stories we read is so important.
But I also like to read stories to learn about different experiences. What's it like to live in the far north? How can kids take part in carnival?
Today we have some books from Telling Tales authors that will do just that. They let us experience something different that we don't know. And for some readers, they will be able to see themselves in these stories.
These books are mostly for kids aged 4 to 8, but this first one is for babies. The Animals of Chinese New Year by Jen Sukfong Lee.
Babies and toddlers love looking at pictures of other babies, so I know this one will be a hit with our littlest readers. And the book is written in Chinese and English, making it accessible to lots of people.
Our next book is also presented in 2 languages, Mi'kmaq and English.
It's called The Train in English and Goss in Mi'kmaq. The story was written by Jody Callahan and interpreted and translated by Joe Wilmot.
In this story, a little girl named Ashley learns about her family history from her uncle. He's sad because people seem to have forgotten what happened to their community when he was a kid.
All the children of their Mi'kmaq community in Nova Scotia were sent to the train station without their parents. Ashley's uncle tells her about how they were taken away to residential schools where they were treated very badly. They weren't allowed to speak their language or even be Indigenous.
It's a hard story for Ashley to hear because it happened to her family and her community.
And it's hard for us to hear because of what happened to Indigenous people across Canada. But that's also why it's important to remember.
The train is sad, but it is also hopeful.
Ashley is a symbol of hope for her uncle, that their community is surviving and one day will get back what they lost when the children were sent away.
He tells Ashley that she needs to know where she comes from so she can be proud of where she is going.
There is a short glossary in the book to help people who don't understand Mi'kmaq, but if you already know the language, you can read the entire book in Mi'kmaq or English.
Our next book also has a glossary.
Right. Readers can learn some words in Inuktitut if they don't already speak an Inuit language. We are talking about Unahuna. Ukpik learns to sew.
This book is really interesting. The main character is an Inuit girl who lives very far north on the tundra. She loves playing with her friends and her puppy, and she is very inquisitive.
The author, Susan Aglukark, who I first experienced through her singing and songwriting, set this story in the past when her grandmother was a little girl living in the Arctic. She wanted this story to show a time when Inuit people first began to experience outside influences and objects. At the beginning of the story, Ukpik's father, cousin, and uncle return from a hunting trip with 5 caribou. She helps her mother prepare the furs for a special project that will include some colorful beads Ukpik loves.
I was surprised at how long and detailed the process was, and I think Ukpik was too.
But we see how these skills keep their family connected with the history and traditions of their people at this time when the world was changing. It's another story about how important it is to know where you come from.
If you're a reader who is Inuit, maybe you will recognize some of the skills Ukpik is learning.
Even if this is all new to you, this book will let you experience what life was like in the Arctic, including the traditions and language of the Inuit people.
Our next book takes us away from the far north to an island in the Caribbean.
Malaika's Costume is written by author Nadia Han. It's carnival time, and Malaika is so excited to get a costume for the kids' parade.
She lives with her grandmother because her mom moved to Canada for a better job. Malaika has been waiting for her mom to send money for the costume, but nothing arrives. Her grandmother has an old costume for her to wear, but it's not at all what Malaika had in mind.
But Malaika finds a way to turn the hand-me-down into a vibrant peacock costume with her own creative ideas and the help of her community.
The illustrations in this book are so colorful, you feel like you're a part of carnival.
The language in the book blends English and Caribbean patois, and there's a glossary to help out those readers who might be hearing these words for the first time.
Malaika has so much fun dancing in the parade. It made me want to go to a carnival event.
Our final book is about one of your favorite animals, horses.
The book is called Runs with the Stars, written by Darcy Whitecrow and Heather O'Connor.
While they're waiting for the birth of a new foal, a man tells his granddaughter about the Ojibwe horses that used to roam the forests of northwestern Ontario. The horses once ran wild and free, but when grandfather was a boy, they almost disappeared.
He decides to start his own small herd. His first foal, Star, was born on the same day as the 7-year-old narrator.
This story is also about keeping the breed alive for future generations.
It's also about the important bond between humans and animals. It's an important tradition and value of the Ojibwe people.
I'd never heard of the Ojibwe horses before reading this book. The horses are used for equine therapy and cultural heritage programs.
I'd love to meet them. I hear they are smart, friendly horses.
In all of the books we've talked about today, the authors have decided to share their unique cultural perspectives.
This includes sharing their languages, but the author always makes sure to include a glossary or a translation for readers so everyone can feel included.
And all of these stories show the importance of knowing where you come from so you can know where you are going.
I love hearing my family's stories, and when I read other people's stories
about Ashley and Ukpik,
Malaika or the Ojibwe horses,
or the animals of the Chinese New Year.
Reading these stories help us to understand where other people come from too.
Happy reading!